Alright, just a little doom video. Time for an update. Don't have anything. Don't have any idea how the doom will happen. Still can't. You look at the system and you say, well, how will the system fall apart? And it's hard to know, you know. I mean, what has to happen, we know, I think, it could be kind of narrowed down. It's sort of like a computer, you know, when things get out of control. It's like you gotta start over again. You can't, there's no saving it. You gotta do a reboot. It's no, you know, you can close some programs, you can modify this, change that, but it ain't gonna fix it. It's too broken. So it's time to reboot, it's time to start over. And I guess there's nobody talking about starting over, though. I mean, the system doesn't look like it wants to start over. It wants to reclaim what was. It wants to somehow just go along like nothing happened. And something happened. I mean, the thing's been corrupted. It's been broken. There's a huge flaw in the system. And the huge flaw is that we allowed money to own the system. And so instead of valuing work, we valued money. And, yeah, you can't do that. Just the system ain't going to work that way. So now we have this value, this money thing that just isn't connected anymore to work. There isn't a straight line. It's a big, complicated, crooked, convoluted line. And so nothing has any real value compared to real work. And it's just not sustainable that way. And now it's just too broken. There's just too many IOUs floating around. Too many, you know, you can't trace the ones that are valid from the ones that are bullshit. And so it's time to trash it. But they're not going to trash it. They keep throwing trillions of dollars, you know, let's save this part, let's save that part. And all they're saving is some sort of infrastructure of ownership. They're saving ownership. And, you know, that's not going to work in the long term, because the owners aren't the people that are sacrificing and doing the work. And people aren't going to want to work anymore if their work doesn't have any value, and it isn't going to have any value in the future. Not if this economics is maintained, because the economics already dictates no value. They have to extract too much productivity. I mean, to pay back all these IOUs, to pay back all this fake money, to make it all real money, you have to extract a huge amount of productivity out of human beings. $11 trillion, $12, $13 trillion worth. It's too much money. Plus, that's not even adding on all the debt that exists, the personal debt. So it's trillions and trillions of dollars that have to be extracted out of people to make the books black again, to make the accounts even again. And that isn't going to happen if trying to save this old system. So we have to just decide to do it on purpose. And that's like the big question is, will we decide to do it on purpose? Will we deliberately fix what we allowed to be broken because we allowed chaos to rule? I mean, we didn't plot a course for the human race. We just said, let's do this free market-y thing. Let's just let greed own us. And we thought everything was going to be all right. Well, it wasn't. It isn't. And now are we going to fix it by doing something rational, or are we going to just do the same thing? Are we just going to resort to chaos again and say, well, let's let chaos work it all out? And I don't think that's going to work. And what's at risk here is the civilization itself. I mean, will human beings be civilized on planet Earth, or will they blow civilization up? And that's really the issue. I don't know if we can really exterminate ourselves, but we can certainly knock ourselves backward in 500 or 600 years. We can start living in very uncomfortable societies, control-freaky societies. You think you don't have freedom now? Wait till the future, okay? Because you won't have any at all in that world, because it's going to be run by tyrants, and it's going to be run by intolerance, and it's going to be run by suspicion and fear, and any kind of negative human psychology you can think of is what's going to own the future. And if we don't do it right, if we don't fall off this cliff in the right way, it's going to get really ugly for human beings. And I mean, if it was my choice to make sure, I'd say the hell with it once that happened, life wouldn't be worth living. It wouldn't meet my standards of rationality or sanity. But it will meet somebody's. Human beings just, they want to survive. They keep fighting for life no matter what you throw at them. As they have no standards. They have a lot of hope, but that's all. They just keep investing in it, like it's always reasonable. It's always reasonable to have hope for some reason. There's no such thing as a hopeless situation. But if civilization goes down in this environment with nuclear bombs, there's not going to be reason to hope for any kind of recovery, because the ideology of the psychology of the hate, the us and thems, all of that shit, that is going to be so much stronger than any kind of, let's all take care of each other kind of psychology. That just isn't going to be there. The only way that can happen is a majority of people have to get it, and then they have to force it on the rest of the world. They have to force peace on the world. They have to force real solutions that fix real problems on the world, because chaos won't do it. So anyway, it's just too hard right now. I'm just thinking about it. There's no way to know. Are we gonna go through a year of deflation? Where prices are all going to go way down. You might get unemployed, so your wages might go way down also. So it could be very advantageous for people with savings if we have this deflation in the market, so the rich will benefit in the short run. But it seems inevitable that the inflation has to kick in somewhere. Somewhere the money has to be devalued. And it's all going to decide on whose money gets devalued. Is it going to be work that's going to be devalued, or is it going to be money that's devalued? Because to pay back the debt, to make this right, what's been wronged, to fix it, you have to extract a huge amount of productivity out of people. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars worth of productivity, work, has to be extracted out of somebody to make all this fake money real money. And are people going to be willing to do that? Are they going to be willing to be even more of a slave to a system that's stealing from them now? As it is now, the wealthy have stole 2/3 of the value of your work. If you have a job and you're working, they're stealing 2/3 of the value of it, and they're going to start stealing even more. That's what the economics demand. Somebody has to pay the money back. It's either going to be them or it's going to be you, and you're going to have to decide which one you want it to be. And if you want to prevent it, if you want to make it happen a certain way, it's got to be somebody's got to make it happen. It can't just happen by accident. We have to decide on purpose that we're going to do a reboot. We're gonna just close all the old accounts. No more legacy anything. You're gonna get your portion. Period. You can make something of it, or you're not, but it'll be your portion. But we have to have some rules for doing that. The Soviet Union did that, and what ended up happening? Because they didn't put any rules to prevent it from happening. It ended up just getting consolidated again. Okay, and so now all the wealth is in the hands of 50 families, and that's life in that civilization, and that's the road we're gonna we can choose, or we can choose some other. But it's going to get tricky in the rest of the world, because once it isn't a harmless world. People have big giant guns, big nuclear guns, and if we let things get too ugly, those guns are going to go off, and But I can't see it. I just can't. I have no vision of the future, because it's all chaos. We're just letting chaos decide. I wouldn't have anticipated that we would have ended up bailing out a bunch of bankers. We did. They got away with it. They stole the money, basically. The rich stole the big trillions of dollars already to protect their assets. They weren't protecting your assets. The average person's assets weren't protected in the bailout. No, the only assets that were protected were rich bets made by the wealthy on our economy. They were playing games with people's lives, and they want to make all those betting tickets valid. And the only way they can do that is they have to find some money to make it happen, because there is no real money behind any of those bets. Anyway, it's gonna get ugly, and it's gonna get complex, and somebody's gonna have to say something, or somebody's gonna have to do something, or something brilliant's gonna have to happen. Because when we let chaos decide how it gets fixed, it's not the fix ain't gonna be any better than how we got here. We got into this mess because we let chaos run our lives, and if we let chaos solve this problem, I can't see any possibility of anything good happening. So that's, whatever. Take it for what it's worth. Just a lament. It's not even a good rant. It's just a doom lament as civilization begins to crumble away.